So, sir, thank you so much for being here in Zona Franca channel. My name is Alexander, and what I do is try to promote the metal, rock, and punk music in the Peruvian community. Would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Yeah. Well, thanks for having me. I'm Cone. I play in Sum 41.
Yeah, well, Sum 41 is part of my childhood, let's say. More than 20 years here in Peru when MTV released. I saw your videos, Into Deep, like here was a huge era, at least in Peru. So, sir, what were your influences back in the day when Sum 41 started?
Well, my influences personally, when I first started playing bass, was kind of like the grunge era of like the early '90s. Like Dinosaur Jr., Sonic Youth, Nirvana, of course, and stuff like that. And then, and it was pre my time, but it was really the Southern California and Bay Area punk scene. So that was heavy for the band. And then when I joined, it was kind of the same still. Derek and Steve introduced me to that stuff. I was kind of into, like I'd known Rancid, and I obviously Green Day and Offspring and NoFX and stuff like that. But they introduced me to more of the world of Epitaph and Fat Records stuff. So that was big for the band in like the 90s. And so we listened to that kind of stuff nonstop in the 90s.
So like more than 20 years that you, sir, are in the music industry, let's say. And of course, you had some ups and downs, and by the downs, you learn from it. So what are some advices that you can say to the new bands that are coming out nowadays?
I think it's changed a lot since we had our first manager and signed our first record deal. Times have changed quite a bit since signed in 1999. I don't know. I think just from our experience, I think the thing to do for young bands is just play as much as possible. There seems to be kind of like maybe a thing out there with new bands that they seem to, not all of them, but a lot of bands seem to spend more time with social media, trying to get a name for their self through social media and stuff like that. And that's just one component. I think the live music thing is still relevant, and I think bands just really got to get out and play as many shows as possible and get better live and get better as a band. And then you have the social media stuff on the side as well. But I mean, we always kind of did that kind of stuff as well. Like social media wasn't around in the 90s or the early 2000s, but we were able to still videotape ourselves. We had a camcorder and we would videotape ourselves doing everything and make our little videos, whether it was on VHS tape or DVDs. So we were doing the same thing as what bands are doing now, but that was kind of the secondary thing for us. We wanted to become a good live band and put on a good live show and try and write good songs and record good albums. That was always first and foremost, and then the extra stuff was on the side. So I guess my advice would be to do it in that way. Try and be a good band first, social media second.
So as you know, the 80s, were very special, like, for example, you have Michael Jackson, Stevie Wonder, any other artist. And also the 2000s were very special because we have Sum 41, Linkin Park, Offspring, and so on. So what do you miss about the 2000s?
I guess in a way, going back to the social media thing, I kind of miss, and this is kind of the 90s too, like I kind of miss the days of mystique in bands. When I was really into Nirvana and when I was growing up and starting to play bass, I didn't know what Kurt Cobain was eating for lunch or eating for dinner or where he was on vacation. And that was cool to me because there was like this mystique around these bands. You didn't really know what they were like except if you saw them on a video channel, maybe on, like up in Canada we have Much Music, and you'd watch Much Music to watch these interviews with these bands that you love. And that was the only way you could really get an insight into their life. nowadays, I guess people are just showing everything about their life online, and to each their own. But I kind of miss the days of not knowing about everything revolving around my favorite artist's life. I guess some
Yeah.
things are cool. It's like, oh wow, Mick Jagger's on vacation, and that kind of stuff can be cool. But it's like I do miss the mystique of music a little bit, for sure.
So, so I know you played here in Peru like 9 years ago, in 2015. I wasn't here in Peru. I was living abroad in USA. But um, what do you remember about that concert? Like, how was the Peruvian crowd when you played?
Well, I would say like not only the Peruvian crowd, but I think like South America in general,
Yeah.
some of the most rabid and like fans that are like always like it reminds me a little bit of the European crowd too. It's like fans that you have for life. Like as soon as it's a little bit different in America because America is very like hit driven. They can not always, but they can forget about bands because there's just so many bands and stuff. But I feel like Europe, South America, and even like Japan, if they like you, if they like your band, they're kind of your fan forever, and that's kind of a good feeling for us.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean like it makes you have to worry about like, oh, we need a hit, on the radio, we need this and we need that. It's like we've always been a band. We just kind of make music, and sometimes there's a single that does well, sometimes there's not. But I feel like with South America and Peru and stuff like that, it didn't really matter. It was just like if they liked the music, it didn't matter if the song was a hit or not.
Yeah.
They just like the album, they like the band, they're gonna follow you forever. And that's what I love about South America.
Thank you so much. And as a musician, that you travel all around the world and you achieve a lot of things, I bet. What are some goals that you still have to achieve?
We're all grateful for the
Yeah.
career we've had and the places we've got to go to, but there's also like the bucket list places that
Yeah.
we never got to go to that would have been cool to maybe see and go play.
So, sir, this is the last question. I do this question to all the bands, all the artists, and you have to be very honest, okay? And the question is like this. If you have one day left on the earth, with which artist, dead or alive, and what song, any kind of song,
Try.
not only punk, could be rock, metal, jazz, whatever, would you like to play with?
Oh, I, just one.
Yes, one, yeah. Yes, one.
Well, I mean, there's a ton, but I would say we, hmm, we did a song with Iggy Pop in 2003,
Oh, yeah.
and then for about a year after that song, we were his backing band at a lot of award shows. One up in Toronto, one in Miami for the Latin Music Awards. He got an award in Miami again, and we went. So we would do these little pop-up award shows with Iggy for about a year, and that was one of the greatest experiences of our career, I think. Being around Iggy, performing with Iggy, who was like basically one of the greatest performers of all time, and he was such a cool dude to us. So I would say play with Iggy one more time if that was
sounds great.
our last day.
Well, sir, thank you so much for this interview. Would you like to invite to all the South American people to hear, I mean, the new generation, to hear Sound 41, please?
Yeah, I mean, it's wild at our shows right now because we've been around for so long now that it's crazy to look in the audience and see like a 45-year-old man singing the songs, and next to him is like a new fan that's maybe like 15,
Yeah.
and they're singing the same song from a completely different generation. So yeah, it's crazy to see that kind of stuff, and they're not related or anything. So, but yeah, it's fun to watch that kind of thing, like our old fans singing with our new fans, and they're all having a good time singing the same songs. The words mean probably different things to them, but the songs relate to them in a different way, and that's great. That's what music's all about.
Well, sir, thank you so much for this interview. I wish you all the best. I hope that you can come to Peru once again. I hope so, really. But good luck in everything. For me, the 2000s were so special when I was sit down in the chair watching MTV. You know, that was the golden era, really. Take care, sir. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you.